So this is my two parts of the project for the presentation, and this is I'm in charge of the introduction and the conclusion. And so, just as kind of a general overview and introduction, um, at Coke, we're a beverage company. We're considered the best in the world. We're trying to move to Cuba and trying to create jobs, trying to kind of get a new layout of the land in Cuba, just kind of trying to test the water. We have a lot of ways that are going to be explained throughout this presentation in which we feel like we are able to accomplish those goals. And the two places in the world that Coke is not sold is North Korea and Cuba. So just trying to expand our market, our reach, and our overall economic reach, just to further our company and to further how we dominate the global market scale of the beverage company. Pretty much all beverage companies. We hope that in Cuba we can create some jobs and even more economic prosperity for our company. And Cubans have wanted this. They have raved about it. It's something that they have wanted for a long time. So that is the ultimate goal. Is just getting to Cuba and then opening a branch. And
my name is Jared Turner, and I'll be going through the economic research and why we think Cuba will be a good location for Coke to expand to. Cuba has seen a steady increase in imports since 2011, keeping the current import market consistent at $15 million US. Because the market is staying steady, we feel this will be the perfect time to begin construction on our new warehouses. Looking at the chart provided you on the slides, you'll see that only 7.6% of current imports are food and beverages. Another reason that now is the right time for us to move into the market. Coke would be the first American beverage company to open in Cuba and will be able to saturate the market. Because Cuba has had strict rules in place for imports, there are many laws that we'd have to follow when looking into moving into Cuba. Due to the increased interest from surrounding countries, Cuba has updated and removed some laws they had in place. The U.S.-Cuba embargo of 1960 has been lifted due to President Obama and President Castro's agreement that the U.S. would like to trade with Cuba. The agreement is now waiting on approval from the House. Even though we don't have the embargo lifted, the U.S. is still able to trade under the Trade, Sanctions, Reform, and Export Enhancement Act. These acts allow certain food and beverages to be imported into Cuba. Our next step is to get approval from the Federation of International Trade Association, and then begin distribution to all Cuban regions. The next important step is researching taxes that Coke will be responsible for while conducting business inside of Cuba. Cuba taxes are a little higher than other countries that Coke is currently doing business with. However, they do provide corporation incentives to move Cuba, which helps with higher taxes. Coke will be corporate tax exempt for the first 8 years and going to 15% in the 9th year. This allows Coke time to build and start distribution before having to pay higher taxes to Cuba. Even though we get a break on the corporate tax, there are still 2 other taxes we will have to calculate into our profits. Import tax, which is 10%, and customer tax, which is 21.39%. Last, but I feel like this is the most important is the profit. How much profit can Coke expect in the first year? Looking at the population and current buying trends, Coke has estimated the first year sales to be $94 million US. However, if you look at the pie charts, you will notice that the Latin American currently makes up 8% of Coke, 8.7% of Coke customers. Using this percentage, Coke feels that a more realistic sales would be 70 million for the first year, down 70 million for the first year, down 24 million from the first estimate. Because profit from Coke is usually 60% of sales, Coke looks to gain 42 million of profit in the first Cuban distribution center. And for it to go up drastically by year 5. After all of economic research, Coke feels that Cuba is a great choice for Coke and can't wait to get the product out to a new market.
As you can tell on the slide labeled other companies, many companies have successfully partnered up with Cuba. Take for example Netflix. Netflix is now allowed to stream in Cuba. Cuba has also made deals with Airbnb, allowing Airbnb to have rentals in Cuba. Cuba has also partnered up with a company called Priceline. Priceline is allowed to offer hotel rooms for U.S. visitors and U.S. tourists. Some companies have failed miserably to partner up with Cuba. The companies that have failed to partner up with Cuba are forced to leave immediately, and if they don't do so, they could be imprisoned. There are a few products that are not allowed in Cuba or in the US because of embargoes, such as Havana Club, which is a Cuban rum that is not allowed in the US because of embargoes. Another example is Habanas, which are a famous cigar in Cuba. They are also not allowed in the US because of the embargoes. If the embargoes were to come to an end, the US firms would be free to do business in Cuba at any time. Currently, there are less than 250 foreign companies doing business with Cuba at this moment. When starting a business up in Cuba, you are not only collaborating with the Cuban people, but the Cuban government, which means you have restrictions on how you hire your workers and who you can hire. When making deals in Cuba, you should also know that you have to arrive early, at least 50 minutes early, 30 minutes early. You just have to be there before the person you're meeting up with. Most business meetings are held over lunch. Some of the history of Cuba is that in the 19th century, Cuba had a lot of wars going on. Most of those wars were because Cuba was trying to gain independence. Cuba finally gained its independence in October 10th, 1986. When Cuba gained its independence, they created a drink called Libre to celebrate their independence, which became Cuba's national drink. Libre is translated to free or freedom. One of the key ingredients in the Libre drink is Coca-Cola. Also rum. Cuba is one of the few nations that is still communist till this day. which that's why they don't allow a lot of people or foreign countries to make businesses with them currently. Hopefully they will allow companies to make business with them, or more foreign companies to make business with them in the future.
As we all know, Coca-Cola is a massive corporation that spans the world, as well as selling and producing products across the world, some of which may be specific to certain regions they're located. But Coca-Cola produces several different kinds of beverages, everything from Coca-Cola to Powerade, which is a hydration-focused beverage. Coca-Cola had a push to start making healthier beverages for customers that had wanted to start a better diet but not wanting to give up the Coke beverages that they had come to love. And as a result, they started producing more low calorie, no sugar, no sugar beverages, such as Coke Zero and Diet Coke, to meet the demands of those customers. With there being so many different Coca-Cola beverages that you could purchase or produce, we would need to consider what Coca-Cola products we would be focused on in our new region. Rather it be just Coca-Cola, or it's Diet Coke and Coke Zero as well. With that, there are several ingredients to also consider depending on the beverages we choose to produce in our new region. The main Coca-Cola ingredients are carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, caramel color, phosphoric acid, natural flavors, and caffeine, which we would all obviously have to source, which brings us to our next point. Coca-Cola does not get their supplies directly from farmers. They get them through suppliers. However, Coca-Cola does do what they can to support their farmers in any way they can. I do think, though, with our new region, while we may have to use some suppliers, I think it might be a good idea to try and go to the farmers for products as a way of connecting with the community and doing it whatever it is that we can do to help the community, as well as show that we want to help and we want to be there and we want to do whatever we can to help grow our new region's community.
Hey there, sorry for the inconvenience of me taking this video in my car. I know the lighting is absolutely terrible and I'm sure you can hear some noises. Been a pretty stressful, jam-packed week, as I'm sure you understand, but just bear with me. But yeah, our group, we chose the city of Havana in Cuba. And the first major reason we chose Havana was because of its very large population. Havana within it holds over 2 million citizens. And where there's that many citizens, there's a lot of businesses. Gas stations, restaurants, etc. And the second reason we chose Havana was because of its very large port within the city and the very large highways around the city that run the length of the country. And that would ease the transport of goods around and throughout the country a lot. Havana is broken up into 3 major districts. The first of those at the coastline being the kind of historic district with some original Spanish buildings, forts, etc. Moving inland of the country would be the tourism area, same old stuff. Then after that would be the industrial area, industrial complexes, factories, etc. One thing we had to think about was the placement of our branch within those districts. And we want to place our branch in between the tourism area and the industrial area. And the main reason for that is the ease of picking up supplies. And another reason for that is the accessibility for citizens, tourists, and even our own workers to come to the plant. Another thing we had to think about when choosing Cuba in general was, of all things, insurance. Think about Cuba, it gets hit by a lot of hurricanes. So having good insurance is a pretty high priority when you think about it.
All right, so this is my second part, and you've made it to the conclusion. Congratulations. Hope you've learned something. Hope we have made the best possible presentation to you that this move to Cuba can really work and we can really get things in the right directions. Just kind of a overview. We've talked about the economics, we've talked about the trends, we've talked about the laws, talked about the taxes, the money, how USD to Cuba's money. It is a drastic difference. We've also talked about other companies, their successes, their failures. We talked about the Cuban culture. We talked about their business, their history, and we talked about what kind of products us as Coca-Cola has, and sources and our ingredients and stuff like that. We've also talked about a location, which is Havana, which is great. It has very many benefits that I'm about to explain. So it's kind of in conclusion, this move to Cuba would be a huge opportunity for our company, just to kind of not only tap into a new market, but to continue our global dominance as the premier beverage company of the world, more or less. We will face challenges, such as importing and exporting our goods through laws that have been tampered with, but this is not going to be that big of an issue, as we will have ways to work around that. Having Cuba's economy become more capitalistic and less communist and less government run provides an advantage for us, as they are wanting to move in the direction of doing business and being more economic, and just overall that's an advantage for us, because they want to have jobs. They want this economic prosperity. They want to move in that direction, ultimately towards democracy. And kind of the last point here is Cubans have wanted Coke. They have wanted it for so long, and it just presents a real great opportunity for economic growth and prosperity, not only for our company, but also for the island of Cuba. And we have no doubt that we will fail. And just want to thank you again so much for you listening to this presentation. And we hope that you are convinced with our efforts to move to Cuba. Thanks.